Okay, class, welcome. I'm going to try to do these update videos every module. So looking at your assignments and homeworks and anything I need to sort of clarify or go over another problem, or just general announcements, shout outs to good work. And in this case, I have several announcements I want to talk about. Oh, also notice that these videos should be uploaded to YouTube, which I believe means that there's closed captioning if you need that, and you can read the transcript. But also know that you can always increase the speed. I tend to talk kind of fast, but if you want like 1.25 or 1.5 to go through material, or slow it down, and do that with all your classes. So that's a nice way this particular semester to take in information at a rate that works for you and maybe is more efficient. Okay, so several things. So let's maybe first talk about, we'll be having a grader this semester. So I'll just give you her information here. Her name is Chloe Matilla. She's a math major, a rock star, went to Academic Magnet. I know we have a couple of those students. In fact, this semester we have a wide range. That's a little tangent I'll go off on, but we have from high school students to retirees, senior citizens. We've got CFC students, non-CFC students. So welcome to the folks. I think it was Rice was one, and there's a couple other ones I'm forgetting now. So a wide range of majors as well. We got lots of science ones, chemistry, astrophysics, physics, a couple math ones, which all those for the non-math ones is to say, like, picking up a math minor is so easy. And a couple of you mentioned that in your intro videos, especially if you've gotten this far along. Sometimes you've already done enough of the classes, and sometimes you might just need like one more and you've got your math minor. And we're trying to make our math double major easier too, so be on the lookout for that if anyone's interested. Okay, so Chloe's information, she is Matilla CM at g.cfc.edu. She's going to be helping me with the grading, and you'll also know that she works in the math lab. And so whenever she's working there, this semester I believe the math lab is planning on doing virtual hours. They have a weekly schedule. So let me just see, let's share the screen here. And I just Googled CFC Math Lab is how I got to this page. And oh yeah, so there's Hope Florence. She runs the Math Lab, awesome colleague, wonderful lady. Whenever she's working, it's a great time. She's very patient. And here is the weekly schedules. They usually have it posted when we're in person, but yeah, check back in the fall. So it usually gives them 1 week to get up, and then they'll post the schedule. So maybe next week they'll have when they're going to have their virtual hours, and you could see it might be a really good thing to go when it's free, when Chloe is going to be there, because she's going to understand this class, how I like to grade, how I teach material, knows the journals well. But there's other great folks too, like again, Hope Florence, who runs it, is awesome. And there's a couple other names. As the schedule gets up, I'll let you know some of the names of the majors I know. But even better, I think, than the math lab for this particular semester is using your classmates. So you already have some teams, and it looks like there's really cool to see the team videos and already getting to know each other. Some of you already have a lot in common. So that is required for certain assignments to use that particular group, but you could use anybody. If you have another friend who's also in physics, let's say, you want to work with them and just pick up the phone, give them a call and be like, hey, we had to do this Dropbox assignments, this activity on page 50. You know, I did it, but is that all it was? What's the point? I encourage you, and math is very collaborative, and I'm encouraging you to do that this semester. There will be some things that you clearly are doing on your own, and that should be well marked, and you'll know that this is an individual assignment. All the quizzes, the final exam, several of the Dropbox assignments are individual on the discussion boards. But other than that, if it doesn't say, I encourage you to go to your classmates. They're the ones that are actually going to know these journals, the material, the way I like to teach better than anyone else, and why not, you know, you're in the class together, you're motivated to do well. So you can contact anyone. That was the point of making that one assignment where you had to put all your contact information in a discussion board so that it was accessible to everybody rather than a Dropbox. So thank you guys for submitting that as one PDF. There were a few folks that still getting used to that, but that's going to be the mechanism going forward. A couple you went back, figured it out, corrected it. Instead of like a couple JPEGs or something, you turned it into one PDF file. And PDFs, the reason they're really encouraging us this semester is that's easier in the OAK system. It's also much easier for Chloe and I when we're grading to access that file. So in general, our assignments will be submitted as one file, and even if you did it, say, in a Word document, type some text, some equations, dragged in a screen image from your phone, print it as a PDF, it'll save as a PDF and upload to the Dropbox easier that way. Okay, what else? Lots of things from the assignments. Oh yeah, so we talked about some of the folks in the class. Oh yeah, so many talented folks too, like lots of athletes, you know, ranging from all sorts of things. We got baseball, basketball, cross-country, surfing, hiking, CrossFit, powerlifting, juggling, volleyball, pole dancing for exercise, and super talented with like anime. And my husband's a musician, so I felt very deficient in that area growing up. I never really had much instruction in that. And so I was just so impressed that he can play like 4 or 5 instruments, and he's a vocal performance major and a singer. But then I read a couple of you, who was it? Was it Corbin? Maybe had, no, Logan did something like 8 instruments. That was just incredible. And later on I read like someone else, Corbin might have been the one, 11 instruments. So a lot of folks into someone else 4 or 5 instruments into music. So very talented group. So I'm excited to see how the semester is going to go. A couple other things I learned related to that was the team names were awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. I'll list a few that are here in the assignments already. We have Divide and Conquer, Cosmo Kids, STEM Brothers. That's a good one. Reminds me of that, at least when I was about your age, there was a group called the Chemical Brothers, a music group. The STEM Brothers reminds me of that. John Tate's in the Making, Pirates, Drink and Derive, and Variability. Oh, and the Pirates was kind of cool because I wrote it like this. Pirates, right? And that's got 2 like math terms in it, like the symbol and the rate, because we're going to talk a lot about rates because we're doing derivatives this semester. Yeah, okay, so I got to learn, folks, and then you have information for everybody in the class in that discussion that you put your team's information in. You can see anybody else's contact information you want to, again, if it's someone you remember that name that you had a physics class with, yeah, you can use the buddy system and contact them about this class. Let's see, on the tech tool assignment, thank you for submitting that. Interesting to see, largely overwhelming. It was that calculator. People just loved, got used to it, very familiar, lots of TIs. And again, you're welcome to use that, especially this particular semester. We're really trying to focus on the modeling and the concepts and being able to solve problems, and less about the becoming human calculators ourselves. We're going to use tools. And often that's opposed to other semesters where typically they want the professors are so concerned about cheating and making sure you're being able to do those derivatives by yourself, and you may have not gotten to see the full features that are available on the device that you have. And so I'm just encouraging you this semester, if you had a manual, and a couple of you have some really powerful TIs like the 89 and the Inspire. 89 can do all sorts of stuff like summations and integrations and derivatives. Basically, it's like a little mini Wolfram sitting right there in your hand, yet you often probably weren't allowed to use many of the capabilities just in the way classes traditionally taught. So go back and revisit that, continue to fall in love with your calculator. But we are going to use a couple new tools this time that are free. They're online. They're super easy, natural language processing, very easy to enter the information. You don't really need any syntax. Wolfram's one we're going to do, and this CalcPlot 3D, which you'll see this week. Awesome tool. I think y'all just fall in love with that one too. Let's see. But you did mention the idea of the familiarity, and I appreciate that. And so we're going to add 1 or 2, but they're also, I think you're going to find very familiar, to help you with your other classes as well. Okay, thank you for doing the Math Is discussion board. Really interesting to see what a change from when I do my 105 business calculus, because it's always just like, worse. It's kind of heavy after reading that, but yours was really light and uplifting, and all the interesting ideas of how you approach math and There are a few though, definitely talked about the frustration and the having to teach yourself math and some of the downsides of math. And hopefully we'll remedy some of that this semester too and give you a better experience. Several of you also mentioned that changed when you got a good instructor, someone like Kate Owens, who was also set to teach. We were gonna have 2 sections of Calc 3, but COVID happened, things got crazy, and we had to turn, this class was actually supposed to be synchronous, but then different science departments had time conflicts. We had a couple of national students. And so anyway, we've turned to asynchronous, and there's only 1 section, and it's a double, but we're gonna rock it. We're gonna do the best we can. And I think it's gonna be an amazing semester. Even in this format, we can still do many of the collaborative group things that we do. And so I feel like Kate has passed the torch. So some of the students that have had Kate, hopefully you'll have that same sort of excitement, experience, and applications, and love, appreciation of math this semester. So on the math is, again, besides the overwhelming, largely positive responses and very interesting takes on the universality and usefulness, the beauty of it, I just thought I'd share a few things for me. We're gonna add more throughout the semester, but for me, math was always, when I was younger, I liked sort of the puzzle aspect of it. Like even when I got to calculus, like solving an integration problem, like you knew, it was in the book, there had to be a way that I could do it, and it was like a puzzle to figure out what integration technique did I need to do this. And then when the problems got harder and they're bigger and you're getting to grad school and stuff, that there's this sense of satisfaction when you get them, or intense joy. It can go from when many of you describe the frustration that like just beating your head against the wall on a particular problem, really trying to get it, there's a deadline and you gotta, and then you get it, you know, that feeling is just, that's amazing. You know, that you understand it, you get it, the switch went on. And I actually had that experience with my PhD for like beating my head for 2 years against the wall and finally getting it. I do remember like jumping out of my desk and like hands up in the air, like I knew I had it. You know, that was the coolest feeling. The other thing for me about math is that it's a sense of solace too, and joy, because I can take it anywhere. Like I can do it anytime, and just thinking about it, doing it in my head when I'm walking along the beach, walking the dogs, you know, back like late at night and I'm just finished a family dinner, and then I just can go into my head and think about something that's just I've been thinking about for a while, like if it's a research problem, and I don't need any other tools, just myself and my brain, and I can do it anytime, anywhere. Sometimes, yeah, you come back and write on pencil and paper, whiteboard, or you get on a computer and do some simulations, but that ability to do your work anywhere is neat to me. Okay, a few more comments on, let's see, we talked about the journal pages, should be 1 PDF. Oh yeah, so then this class, like I think it's kind of neat that we did ultimately end up having to turn it into asynchronous, but there's a neat feeling in that, just know that everything you're submitting and writing and making the videos, I'm watching everything. Like I'm meticulous about that. Anything that's been written, which was helpful sometimes on your assignments, some of you would write a little note to me like, you know, hey, I'm going to return and resubmit this, or you know, something happened at the bookstore. That's helpful. And so there's this sense of that we are communicating through space and time. That's kind of a neat thing. The asynchronous part was the time, and then the space where we're all over the place, around the world, in fact, because again, we got some international students this time through different time zones. And the other comment related to that is it reminds me of, so Buckminster Fuller I've read a lot of his stuff, he's got some interesting takes on things, and one of his was that he thought of his entire life as an experiment. And what a change that does. Like if you just say, you know, he refers to himself as guinea pig B for Buckminster Fuller. And that if everything in your life you're just viewing it as like, let's see what happens. This is an experiment. So for us, I feel like during this COVID semester, it definitely is. Like, let's see what's possible with learning, given these certain constraints that we have, but what can we do and succeed? And so we're going to work that out together. It's going to be back and forth and feedback, and you will see throughout the semester. I'm going to ask for some surveys that are going to be optional, but I would love feedback. It's going to help me figure out for the remainder of the semester, for future students, the delivery format and things that we can do to improve. Okay, so yeah, I mentioned the buddy system. Oh, last thing is that you'll have several activities that are due with every module. So, and the purpose of those again is to, there's a lot of research on neuroscience on how the brain works and how things are like memories are solidified in the brain. And these, so the science behind that's why I'm doing this interactive hands-on physical conceptual way of learning math, is that these activities, sometimes they're really short and you're like, oh, that was it, that's simple, I get it. Well, you totally get it, and you probably will have it like etched in a much stronger memory in your brain by doing that physical activity that way, rather than just watching a video or watching a tech tool simulate that. But if you did it physically, you took the water bottle and you put on the rubber bands and you saw it, it's going to mean that down the road, you don't have to study that anymore. You understand what a contour map, what the level curves are, you completely get it, and it's going to make, when the final time comes, last week class for final exams, that you have it. There's nothing really to say. You don't have to sit down and cram and write a study guide and a crib sheet and really wreck your brain, because it's already in there. You've made these strong memories. Okay, that's it for the first weekly update. This is my favorite one. Last one, talking about the team names. Well, my favorite individual name, this gets me every time, Lily. One of our students is named Lily Boss. And so when she submits her Dropbox assignments into something, it'll say like assignment 1, Lily Boss. But it comes out, the spelling, for some reason in Oaks, the way that last I, it's almost like I don't see that last I. I'm like, Lil Boss, like that's the coolest rap name ever. That's the coolest math name you've got, Lily. All right, so have a good time this week on Module 1. Finally get into our content, and I'm excited to get into that and see how this process is going to go. Have a good time, and we'll talk soon.